What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and I just wanted to finally get my thoughts on the Joker Disaster, the sequel, that garbage that released a few weeks ago. All right, I just want to get my thoughts on it because so much stuff has came out ever since the movie came out, and it's finally time for me to sit down and talk about what everything's coming out on the table and just give my thoughts. If you like the content, hit the like button and subscribe. So everyone knows that this movie is basically bombing at the box office, and it's like they're not getting their budget of $200 million back. Which, if you really look into the details of that, the fact that this film cost $200 million and there was a multi-million-dollar salaries going out to the main stars, it opened less than Morbius and the Marvels is crazy to me. I dropped a video earlier about how I did not like Todd Phillips. Every time this man opens his mouth, he says something ridiculous or dumb, and people just gobble it up like, oh my god, he's just... He just, y'all just don't understand the ideas of, he's in a different area. He's the next Christopher Nolan. He's the next Martin Scorsese. You just don't understand what this man is thinking right now, even though he's anti-union and a weirdo. But we're going to continue on. This man just doesn't, y'all just don't understand the genius of Todd Phillips, right? The more stuff came out. So apparently the sequel came from a dream from Joaquin Phoenix. It's funny how when the movie bombed, they immediately threw that out there. Because at first it kind of felt like, oh, this is like a WB type thing where it's like, oh, the first film made $1 billion, well, you're going to make a sequel, all right? It's not really, man, our hands are tied here. It was like, no, Joaquin, this is his fault. It was his fault. It immediately came out when the movie was going bad. It was like, yeah, it was her idea, you know what I mean? Listen. And then the second thing is Todd Phillips had free reign with Warner Brothers, do whatever they want, and it had no test screening, which is insane to me. Why would you not? Any movie that's coming out, no matter how much faith you have in it, you can like something, but when you present it to someone else and they don't like it, it's a different perspective, right? Like, you can make a meal for you that you love, that you will tear up, right? Like, for example, no shade to my sister. My sister loves her scrambled eggs. The way she makes it, that's how she makes it. She makes it that way all the time. In my opinion, her scrambled eggs are trash. And like, I would rather eat dirt than eat her scrambled eggs, right? But listen, she would know that if it wasn't for someone else in the kitchen. It was like, hey, I don't think you should put this type of seasoning on some eggs, bro. Like, why are you putting, garlic and onion on some eggs? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? It was like that. You making a basic breakfast and you want to add all this extra stuff. There is no way. Why is nutmeg being added onto some scrambled eggs, bro? Like, what are we doing here? It's crazy. You don't even take the shells out the eggs. You know what I mean? And so they gave Todd Phillips the full kitchen. You know what I mean? First they gave him a microwavable dinner. He added some spices on there, and it became delicious. I was like, okay, cool. You know how to cook. So we're gonna give you the whole thing. It's kind of like what is his name? Was it Tyler from The Menu? When he was like, listen, I'm a big fan. And he's like, okay, you got the kitchen now. That's what it's gonna be. They gave him the kitchen. They came back. The kitchen was on fire because they ain't let no one looked over whatever was going on. They said, listen, free reign. And it's weird because WB does this all the time, where they'll have a director that has a vision for one movie, and they're like, you know what? We're going to give you the whole universe. And like they tried to do it with Todd Phillips. Imagine if Todd Phillips was running DC and he dropped this now. You know how crazy that... People will be looking like, yo, the DC is dead. There's no way, because they're not going to fire him because, WB is too prideful. They're going to be like, yo, they're done. WB is cooked. I'm glad he says no. At least he understood. And it's weird because it's a weird thing what Hollywood does sometimes, where they try to get people who are not fan of the medium or the characters that they're making a film of, and making them, and it just forcing them to do it that way. Well, Todd Phillips was said so many times, when the first Joker film came out, that's why I hated... I didn't like the movie as is, right? I get the first one was amazing. Understand it. I didn't like it because it came from the perspective of, I don't have the faith or foundation to make the first film on its own. Let me grab a popular character and just paint over it, right? And we're going to get to that later when I start discussing them explaining that dog shit ending. But as I was saying before, he came out and said, we're not going to make a comic book movie. We're going to make a real movie with the comic book characters. At that point, I was like, all right, bro. Because you just yapping, bro. What the fuck does that even mean? A real movie? Like, what? That's stupid. And it's like every time he talks, he says something completely stupid. Like this entire marketing for the Joker 2, they don't market that this movie is a musical, okay? My family was going to see this movie, and it was like, oh, you're going to see it. And I was like, just to let y'all know, because I know my family doesn't like musicals. Hey, listen, this movie's a musical. I just want y'all to know that. And like, oh, really? And they had to look up on it. It's like, oh, yeah, this is a musical. I don't want to see a musical. They don't market this stuff. And it's funny because people have put videos that you can find on Twitter. It was one that had me dying of like... they're watching the version of the Joker, and the music starts, and people just start groaning, and people leave. It's fucking hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, I was dying. I was like, ain't no way. But that it was just stuff like that. Was like, why would you not promote? But you know, Todd Phillips like, this isn't a musical. They just talk through singing. What do you think a musical is? I said this I'm pretty sure I said this in the last video. What do you think a musical is? What are you talking about? Just yapping. And so Todd Phillips wasn't even on the opening weekend like premiere or whatever. He was on a ranch. He didn't want nothing to do with James Gunn. They had zero involvement. They gave him notes, but he didn't use them. And it's like, this is a disaster waiting to happen. And it's funny because Cinema Score even admits that this is a D, the lowest ever for a comic book film. Keep in mind, it's worse than Batman and Robin, Catwoman, and Madam Web. Crazy. Now listen, the movie on a technical standpoint is not that bad. They need to chill out. But the fact that it's the lowest, people are upset about the sequel. This man, Todd Phillips, has the nerve, the gall, to sit there and say, hey, he's never been the Joker. He's always been Arthur Fleck. Hey, yo, shut the fuck up. I can't stand him. I can't. Yo, Todd. When I catch you, 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 Todd. I promise you. I promise you. Yo, his brain pattern needs to be studied. Because I'm about to crash out, okay? Are you serious? What is the movie called? Please, someone tell me. What is the 2019 movie called right now? What's the main title of the sequel right now? He's never... I have no knowledge of this. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know if the man's, like, delusional. I don't know if he's trying to gaslight us. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Every time he opens his mouth, it's some bullshit. And it's like... You know what? It makes it feel better that I'm not the only one here. I like how everyone as a community has come together and called out the dog shit that is the sequel and that is the director. Okay, all the fuck shit that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have been doing for the past few years because of the Joker success, leaving sets early, getting Joaquin Phoenix just abandoning films after he put it together and hired all these people and got them all laid off because of him. It's insane to me. I'm glad that it all built up to this moment of the biggest fucking flop ever. And it's not even because the movie is that bad. The storyline is garbage, okay? The ending is trash. But it's not as bad as the other films, right? It's not as bad as the stuff that came before. Would I watch this over Catwoman? I'm probably watching Catwoman, but it's not that bad from a technical level. You know what this reminds me of? It's like I'm living in an alternate universe. Okay, I want y'all to close your eyes and think of this. You have an award-winning first story, okay, that everyone loves and adores, and everyone says verbatim, "Hey, you should not continue a sequel to this project." Okay, the project is beautiful on its own. It tells a beautiful story, and everyone leaves this place happy. Okay, of course there's some detractors that say, oh, it's overrated, etc., etc. Some people just don't like it. Understandable, but everyone has said in totality that this is pretty much a masterpiece. This is the peak of what stories should go if you're going this direction, right? And then they make a sequel. They make a sequel that is awful and kind of ruins the whole point of the first project, right? But instead of it being where the studio and the industry babysits and coddles the second project, talking about y'all just don't understand the masterpiece that is here in front of us. Y'all just don't understand. Y'all just too lowbrow to understand, right? No, they're actually saying like, oh, this is awful. Oh, this is actually bad. It's kind of funny how between two industries, how people can break down and critique art in a way that's understandable and palatable, and people are like, hey, no, this doesn't make any sense. When you actually put your brain to it for a few minutes, you can explain all the plot holes and how they're dumb, right? It's almost like we should follow in that way of direction, but instead of the, oh my god, you're all just haters, you're all just XYZ. And it's like, I just think it's funny, the funny parallel of what society should be. the reaction to the sequel is giving me hope of like when we go forward and there's another Todd Phillips film and he's saying, we're gonna make a good musical. We're not gonna be one of those films again. Everyone's gonna call him out on his bullshit that he's been on for the past few years of, oh, you're holier than thou. You made a fucking Hangover movie. You're not all that good. Let's chill out. Let's relax, buddy. All right. But those are my thoughts. Let me know down below what y'all think. Am I tripping? Am I bugging? Did y'all like the sequel? Did y'all think the sequel was gas and is underrated? I'll be in the comments down below. And I'm out. Peace.